Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to
3 American myths I don't believe anymore after living in Europe. So we've done a similar video before. It was a couple talking about it, but this popped up in the suggestion.
Yeah.
Let's see what she has to say about it, if it's the same thing or not.
3 American myths that I don't believe in anymore, because I live in Europe now. One of them might completely change how you see daily life in the US. I moved to Spain about 2 years ago. Now I realize that some of the things that we grew up believing in are unique to life in America. They're not universal truths. I'm going to share how Europe's lifestyle, daily habits, and social systems have changed my perspective. I want to share with you why the American way isn't the only way, and how embracing European habits helped reduce my anxiety and my blood pressure. Also, I'll share how you can incorporate some of these ideas into your own life, no matter where you live. If you're curious about living abroad, or just want to bring a little more balance into your life, like this video. I was just earlier at Tesla. I worked hard. I made good money.
She was what?
in Tesla, working in Tesla?
Tesla, yeah, but what's her?
Balance into your life, like this video. I was just earlier at Tesla.
Store leader?
Yeah.
What is that?
Like it could be like the manager?
Like, yeah, I guess sales manager or something.
Yeah.
Worked hard. I made good money, and I had great health care. Being busy, it wasn't an art, it was survival. I felt successful. I paid off my credit cards each month. I owned a car that I loved driving, and I was able to buy a vacation home in Spain.
Well, I would assume Tesla would give you a car. If you work at Tesla...
Did they give you a car at Tesla?
I would think so. Come on, you work at a dealership and they don't give you a car at least? I would hope so.
My weekends, they did blur into the weekdays, and I always ate breakfast.
I have a theory about people who drive Teslas.
What's your theory?
They can't drive.
Well, Tesla does the driving, right?
At my work desk, every evening kind of dissolved into exhaustion, and the pace was relentless. I worked 70, 80-hour work weeks. This life, it was invigorating. I was living the American dream. And then 2 years ago, I was kicked off the treadmill. After years of watching my colleagues get laid off one by one, it was finally my turn. Elon loves to keep his operations ultra lean. If you're deemed not critical, you go. So I went to Spain. I was still wound up. I brought my habits, my mindset, and my myths with me. I arrived ready to do things.
She sounds very emotional. Like, I feel like she's about to cry. I feel her.
That was a big change in her life. You know, she got laid off. You know, I don't know where. Yeah, that's a significant change in a person's life. So, you know, you can kind of understand that.
Finish. They don't rush. The locals stroll. They don't walk. Why weren't they rushing? Didn't they have deadlines to meet? My heart told me to slow down, but the American in me wouldn't allow it. And then one day it just clicked. Slowing down, it wasn't easy. My first lunch with some Spanish friends, it really tested me. It was almost 3 hours long. The food arrived slowly. The conversation was slow as well. And then when dessert came, that wasn't the end. There was more conversation, and it was Sunday, so our lunch continued with a stroll.
To me, it's so interesting to hear like these experiences, because to me, I feel like that's normal to me.
What's normal?
Like, I could imagine being with my family and like lunch takes like 3 hours.
No, but that's different being with family than going out in a restaurant and sitting for 3 hours. I would go crazy if I had to do that.
Really? I wouldn't
would
feel crazy.
I would. I want to get the fuck out of there.
So eat and leave immediately?
You're going to sit a little like 15 minutes, but for 3 hours.
I would think if you're going out to have lunch with someone, that you have like, okay, you set aside free time. Like, okay, this is time for free. Not like, oh, maybe you're thinking like a lunch break, okay.
No, I'm not thinking lunch break. I'm just thinking to go eat. Like, even when we go out to eat, we finish eating, we're like, okay, let's go. We don't want to sit there extra. Just nobody's rushing us to go, but we don't want to sit there extra.
No, it's not that I don't want to.
Yeah.
Because we have things to do.
Don't you always have things to do in life?
I think so. I think because if the schedule was more free, I would feel like, okay, we could like hang out a little bit. It depends when we're going out to eat. Because if it's at night, then okay.
Yeah, at night. Yeah, at night. I don't know. At 3 hours is that like
3 hours is fine. At night, but not in the midday. I can't imagine doing it in the midday.
3 hours at night is still long. 2 hours is pushing. No, an hour is solid time. An hour is. I have no problem with an hour because just eating itself is about 30 minutes, maybe 45 is super busy. So no, push a little 15 to an hour. You know, maybe a little more, an hour and a half, fine. 2 hours pushing it, but 3 hours? What you gotta say so much for 3 hours?
Oh.
My God damn.
I remember one time I went with my best friend, my bestie Chioma, and then I don't know. You went to sleep. I say, wait a minute.
Done, I was amazed because for the first time in many years, I felt full. Spain's pace of life insists that you take a rest. I learned to siesta. My days start early and they end late, and the midday break allows me to recharge. It makes it possible for me to be more productive. The myth of busyness equals...
Oof. Look how she spelled busyness. It's interesting what she's saying. She was able to do the change. I don't believe I would be able to do. I think it's just so ingrained in me. I don't think I would. I think that's just how I am. I just don't believe that I would be able to sit and do nothing. Like,
I think you don't have to take nothing as absolute nothing. It's just not related to the work that you're doing. Something that can help you de-stress. Because I think when you think of someone saying doing nothing, you're taking it absolute nothing.
Well, absolutely, like laying on the couch, and I don't know, just laying on the couch. I don't know. It's just it's a hard concept to grasp a little bit.
Value, it crumbled. My American lens saw time as something to fill, but Spain...
Honestly, all of this I'm saying, this doesn't even come from America. This comes from Lithuania. Like, I was that since I was a kid like that. You know, it's always, you know, there's always stuff to do. There's never like... So, this nothing even to do with America.
Taught me that it's something to appreciate it.
My grandfather, 75? There isn't a minute where he's always doing something, you know, fixing something, you know, so it's just, that's how it is. It's interesting.
Taught me that leisure, it wasn't laziness, it's living. Back in the US, I believe that high blood pressure and constant anxiety were the price of success. But living in Spain taught me they were simply the cost of not living. By slowing down, I discovered energy I hadn't felt in years. The people around me didn't work to live. Instead, they lived while they worked. You might be thinking that you can never live like this. It's a choice. Start with one.
It is. It really is.
That is true.
I'm glad she said that. She read you down.
What?
Because you're like, I could never do this.
Yeah, I could never do this. I could never do this. She didn't read me down. How did she read me down?
Because you're saying that people's having the mindset that they can never live like this is false. You just have to make the choice.
But I don't think I want to do that.
So you like...
For me, there is nothing worse than boredom, sitting and doing nothing.
No, I think you're taking doing nothing, and taking siesta means doing absolute nothing. It's just finding something that you do like to help you de-stress. So you live to live and not live to work.
No, that part I do agree with. The live to live, not to live to work. That part I do agree. There's a difference in that in Europe versus here in the States. Even in Lithuania, there's a difference. You do work, you know, your life goal is not to work. Here, I do agree with that part. However, with the siesta part, I don't imagine myself taking a siesta. If I had free time,
you probably play basketball.
Exactly, I would be in the gym. I would not be.
That's a siesta,
right?
That's a siesta.
Yeah, I would be in the gym. I would not be.
That's a part of doing a siesta. What would you call that?
That's not a siesta. Siesta to me is you go and take a nap in the middle of the day for an hour or something. Although I would nap. I don't have a problem.
Napping is good.
Yeah, I would nap for an hour if I had time. It's not. I don't know. To me, this is literally like. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
One thing: longer lunches, maybe an afternoon nap, or a slow walk after dinner. You don't need a new country, or maybe.
Yeah, like the slow walk. I cannot walk slow. I just can't.
Then don't. Just walk fast.
I do walk fast. You walk slow. I can't walk slow.
I don't know. Thinking back, I can't believe I used to have dinner at 6 p.m. Oh, and tip 20% minimum on meals. Tipping culture in general in the States is out of control, and I long accepted it as normal. But living in Europe,
20% is high.
Yeah, I know what you're tipping 20%.
Who's doing 20%?
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
They are universal truths. They're cultural choices. Try and make a dinner reservation here. Try and make a dinner reservation before 8 p.m. If the restaurant is actually open, you're going to be dining alone. As the restaurant begins to fill, you're going to see the other patrons enjoying themselves, and they'll stay until as late as midnight. Meals here are really a way to connect. The people linger, they talk, and when it's time to pay, there's no need to stress over your third-grade math. There isn't that hidden tax. Gratuities are a token of gratitude. The same can be said about healthcare and education, right?
I mean, tip culture, she's right, but gotta blame the government. You can't blame the people that need the tip to survive. You gotta blame the laws that they pay them $2.50 an hour.
Yeah, I think that's the difference in Europe.
In Europe they get paid the same way as regular workers. So it is what it is. Here the tip employees get paid like $2.50 an hour, when the minimum regular wage is $8.50 or so nowadays. So you can't blame the people.
I think it's $15 something. Oh
no, I'm talking about federal.
Visits don't come with anxiety about the costs. Education isn't a death sentence. It's a stepping stone, and your freedom from gun violence is protected. I believed in a system that normalized stress, inequality, and fear, but there's an alternative. Society can prioritize people over profit. These aren't utopian ideals.
I wonder if she works or if she made enough money here and she's retired there. Because these are two different things. If she's working there, then that's one thing. But if she's retired there, then that's completely different. That's way different. She literally has nothing to do in life now. It's just relaxing. So that's different.
And adopting a European lens doesn't mean dismantling your life. Start small. You can question what you've accepted as normal. Living in Spain showed me that normal is flexible. Change starts with a shift in perspective. In the U.S., independence is a virtue. From the Declaration of Independence to the American Dream, we celebrate self-reliance. I took pride in doing things on my own. Yet, moving to Spain revealed the shadow side of that independence. It's isolation. Spaniards don't seem independent by American standards. They lean on family, friends, their trusted community. At first, I saw it as needy, and then I noticed something. They're happier. There are often festivals and celebrations in Spain. There's music and there's laughter, and no one's checking their phones. Strangers and friends, they're mingling and enjoying the atmosphere together. In the U.S., I rarely knew my neighbors' names. Here, I'm an expat, and I'm a part...
She's true about that. She's right. But
I think at the end of the day, like she said, everything is a choice. So you could choose to live how you want to live anywhere.
Right, I'm saying more so like how independence is more so a virtue here, whereas in Europe that's not necessarily the case. I do agree with that statement.
Really? Because I feel like in Europe, aside from some countries, they want you to leave the house. You typically, the people want to leave the household and get their own little apartment and create their own
as we saw the map, it's a little hard to generalize Europe. There's different countries, so it's like it's really hard to generalize Europe as a whole. Because some countries, in Greece we saw they stay, 50% or so they stay. Now we saw like in Finland 10% stay. So it's hard to generalize.
How does that decision impact their happiness for life?
Well, we saw Finland is the happiest country, so independence maybe is a little good thing. I was saying something. I don't know. So independence, right? She said
is a virtue.
Is a virtue, here. So I do agree with that, but for me, I kind of like my independence, though. I don't know, like. I think there is just personality types.
You're not gonna ask anybody for help.
I don't. Yourself. So like for what she's saying, I agree with it, but I don't want what she's saying either, though. Like I like my independence, though.
You can have that. You don't have to take everything.
I don't really want to know my neighbor's name. I don't really care for them. They're not gonna be my friends. What do I have in common with them aside from them being my neighbor? Like, we have nothing in common. Why would I be friends with them because they're my neighbor?
Security.
So they're a security guard now? No, like, I mean...
like, if something was to happen, can you go to his neighbor, did you see... How can you do that if you don't even try to get to know the person's name, to create some sort of rapport?
But that's very American, though, small talk.
Okay.
Isn't it? Because we see in Europe, there's no small talk in Europe. That's very small talk, though. Isn't it like, oh, how are you doing? How was the day? You know, what's
No,
happening?
but I think the distinguishing factor is whether or not you're gonna have this encounter again, or is it an isolated encounter. I think when you have to see the person in a routine, you get to know, you get to familiarly exchange the names, or have an understanding that, okay, we see each other regularly, so we're gonna cross paths, so we should have some sort of rapport.
Part of the community. Here, I learned that relying on others isn't weakness, it's humanity. Freedom isn't isolation, it's connection. Living in Spain reminded me that we thrive together. Independence isn't about doing everything yourself. It's about having the freedom to choose interdependence. You can experience this too. You can start by building a bridge with a neighbor, or saying hello to a stranger, but don't be creepy. Independence is powerful, but connection is transformative. My American life has changed since moving to Europe. Living in Spain has showed me alternatives to the lifestyle I was accustomed to. The pace of life here healed my anxiety. The societal norms here redefined my priority. And the connections here showed me what it means to truly belong.
Now watch this one. Watch what? What are we watching? Oh, I guess her next videos. She's suggesting. Interesting. Well, first of all, I'm glad it fixed her issues that she had moving to Europe.
It worked for her.
Yeah, it worked for her.
Maybe if others have this, they can take some of her suggestions.
But what it seems like to me, it's just her personality maybe is more fit for that type of. I think for me, what she described is not exactly what I'm looking for personally.
What are you looking for?
No, as I said, I like my independence because I don't really want to be codependent with people. I want to be independent. So for me, that the last point about independence, isolation, it's a moot point for me. Tip culture, she talked about. I agree. I mean, I do prefer that you tip if you to be extras for the extraness, not for the mandatory. It's always, we talked about it many times. Myth of value, I don't remember what that was. Yeah.
I never known you to not tip though.
Well, I would no. I mean, I understand. I always, even in Europe, I tip. In Europe, it's just I would tip 10%. Yeah, I would tip 10%. Here, I tip 15%, so it's a little more. But and I always tip. I mean, okay. If the service is really trash, no, I won't tip. But for the most part, the services, they do a good job. I don't. No, I don't. And to be fair, we barely go out, so whenever we go out, like once every 3-4 months, we can tip a little bit.
Oh.
So it's not like I think tipping is more so a problem for people that go out every day because it adds up. It adds
up. I
up.
can imagine.
It really adds up. But when you go out like rarely, what extra $10? I mean, whatever.
Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord. And as always, share as much kindness as possible.